Hi guys, welcome. Danny here from the Magic Junk Drawer. And this video I'm making because a situation came up and it reminded me a lot of a situation that I was in years ago. And I think that it may help the person, but I also think that other people might be able to either learn something from it or they've been through something similar. So first of all, my grandmother, my Sicilian grandmother, who came from an infamous family, and my father would always says that she was a little crazy. But words of wisdom from Grandma Rita. What she used to say to me all the time is that nobody can ever make you feel like shit unless you allow them to. And if you allow somebody else to make you feel like shit, then you deserve it. Then you're the shit because you allowed somebody to make you feel that way. So this is my story, and it reminds me a lot of what this girl is going through because it feels very similar to me. So years ago, when I was studying Kabbalah, I don't remember if I told the story before. I don't think I did. When I was studying Kabbalah, what they say to you is that one of the ways that you know that you've attracted your soulmate is that they usually come from a different background than yours. So me being a Catholic Italian, I went to my high school reunion and I didn't want to go, but my friend made me go. And the guy who I wound up, he wasn't there. He wanted to go, he couldn't. I was there, I didn't want to be there. And he was Jewish background, like European Jewish. So talking to a mutual friend, we were both into music, and he was like, oh, you should hook up with, let's just call him Michael. You should hook up with Michael. You guys can talk music together. You get along great. And in high school, he and I weren't really friends. I knew who he was, but we weren't really friends. So anyhow, I gave this guy my number. He gave it to Michael. Michael called, and we went and met. So here I am thinking, first of all, when I first met him, like we didn't meet right away, but we were like talking and texting like 5 times a day. It was like immediately he wanted to like always be in contact with me. And when I went to meet him, he was living in New York City. I drove down there and I thought we hit it off. Like I thought, that we hit it off. So from the point that we started talking, we would hang out at least once or twice a week, and we would talk throughout the day like 5 or 6 times. So I thought that he was interested in me. He didn't treat me like I was a buddy. He treated like I don't talk to my other guy friends that often. So this was like I was in my late 20s. I was just young. So I thought he was into me. And I thought now, because studying Kabbalah, there were the signs. We come from different backgrounds. Mountains have to move to bring soulmates together. And this is what I thought at the time. So we started talking about music. And he had been with a band. And they were doing, I'm not going to say they were doing crazy good, but they were like playing in New York City clubs. They were doing better than I was at the time that wasn't in a band and I wasn't doing anything. So I wanted to be part of it. And it just seemed like he always made me feel like I wasn't good enough to be part of the band. So we used to hang out a lot and talk a lot. And he was always like interviewing musicians, and when I went to see the band play, the one girl that he hired, it was almost as if she was making fun of his music. She didn't know the lyrics to the songs. She was not doing the right thing. It was like we were embarrassed for him, but he thought that she was great. So now here's the first thing, right? I felt like I would have taken him seriously. I would have been a real musician, but instead he chose to be with somebody who made fun of him, who didn't appreciate him, and she was better suited for the job than I was. So here we go. Somebody else was better than me. So as time went on, I started hearing from him less and less. Come to find out, he tells me that he's trying to get with this girl. So what a kick in the ass. I'm the loyal, only person in your audience. I was here first. And all of a sudden, this one shows up, and you're all about her, and she's making fun of you. Like, she's not even taking you seriously. She's making a mockery out of your whole thing. So he told me flat out that he wasn't interested in me and that we were only friends and I had to get over it. And he was like right to the point. But yet he still continued to like hang on my every, like he still would talk to me like 5 times a day, whatever. So he winds up moving this girl in with him. And of course, she doesn't pay rent and she doesn't work and she doesn't do anything but lay around and accomplishes nothing. And I guess he paid the bills. He had another roommate too. And this went on for a while. And I was like really devastated by it. So then what happened was, and she was so full of lies. Everything she said was a lie. Like she said horrible things about her family. She just horrible things. Anyway, and I knew that they were all true. He couldn't see through her bullshit, but I could. But anyway, she was still like the queen. And I was the one that was always like, when she wasn't available, then he would hang out with me. So he was supposed to go home with her for the holidays, and he didn't end up going. She told him that he didn't want her to go. No, she didn't want him to go because her family was so dysfunctional, and she didn't want him to see that. She was full of shit. He didn't want to see that she came from a good family and that her story would have been blown. Whatever. So he comes with me in the holidays. And I'm not kidding you. She must have called him 75 times. I'm not even kidding you. 75 times. I was so freaking annoyed. Anyhow, so that was Christmas time. After Christmas, they broke up. And it was a big mess. And when I tell you, this guy would call me crying. And he like couldn't get out of his own way. And he was devastated. And I was like, what the fuck did you see in her to begin with? She didn't have a job. She wasn't working. She was a compulsive liar. She knew how to manipulate you to get what she wanted out of you, but she never brought anything to the table, and she made a mockery of your band. So what did you want with her? But whatever it was, he wanted her, and he didn't want me. I was good enough to listen to his bullshit, but I wasn't good enough to be part of anything. So as this went on, my birthday came up in March, and we were late for my birthday because he was at some kind of fucking meeting or counselor or something because he was crying over her. And I'm not kidding you. This guy would call me crying, and I would be anywhere, and I would take the phone. I remember walking around Rite Aid one day. He called me upset, and I listened to him. When I needed him, he was never there. At this time, I was still sort of on again, off again with my old boyfriend. So there was still somebody else around. It wasn't just me and him. But I called him because something happened, and I can't remember what it was between me and my old boyfriend. And he was not available to talk to me, and he never called me back, and he didn't give a shit how upset I was. But that's the way this relationship worked. So come August, when it was his birthday, this is what this asshole does. And I stand by this. I don't care if you have a birthday in the summer. But some people that have summer birthdays, they always have to do something extravagant. Winter people, they don't get anything. No one wants to go out in the wintertime. But in the summertime, you always got to be somewhere. So for his birthday, I got concert tickets to Crosby, Stills, and Nash was the first night, and the second night was the Grateful Dead, which is like my favorite. So I paid for the tickets. I paid for the hotel. We went down to the Jersey Shore, and the first night we saw Crosby, Stills, Nash, and we had dinner and we went to the beach and it was a great time. He wakes up the next morning. First of all, his phone was in the bed and it was ringing from like 6 o'clock in the morning. Like when I turned the phone over, there was 47 missed calls from this one. 47 missed calls. Like if I called somebody 47 times, they'd have me locked up. But these people could get away with whatever the fuck they want. So we get up the next morning, we're going to go to the beach, and then we're going to go back down to see the Grateful Dead. He tells me the next morning, listen to this, that he wants me to drive him home, Jersey Shore to New York City, so that he can go spend his birthday with her. And then I should leave him in New York City and drive back down to the Jersey Shore by myself and go to the concert alone. I don't think that I had ever been so pissed in my whole life. So I drove him home and then I went home. There was no way I was driving back down to the shore by myself. So I lost the money for the tickets. I didn't get to see the concert. And I was really pissed. And he went wherever with her. So again, okay, somebody who made me feel really unappreciated, who made me feel really bad about myself, who made me feel like I wasn't worth much, who made me feel like I went above and beyond to make your birthday special and you couldn't even appreciate it, not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. How dare you have the nerve to ask me to drive you home and blow the tickets. Okay, so it gets better. From this point on, he starts a photography business, and I would work with him. Like we would do these like street fairs where he would sell the photos, and he didn't pay me. I would take off work to be there to be supportive of him. I didn't get paid for it, but I did it because I wanted to be part of it and I wanted to be supportive of it and of him while he constantly kicked me in the ass. So people would come up to the booth and they'd be looking at the pictures and they would always ask me. There was one picture of a girl who had her hair pulled back and she had big glasses on, and I think she had an umbrella. And I guess she kind of resembled me because people would always ask me if that was me. And I was like, no, it's not me. And I got to the point where I was like, he has photographed everybody, but he never photographed me. He had his friends, his whoever, co-workers, neighbors, but he never took a picture of me. So then he would tell me things like, well, I'm interviewing a model this afternoon. So now you say to me, I'm interviewing a model, and this is what I see in my head. The Victoria's Secret's runway and the angels walking down. Like, to me, those are models, right? They're 7 feet tall. They weigh 57 pounds. That, to me, is what I'm thinking when you tell me model. So I'm at his house one day, and I'm looking through pictures of these models, and they are nothing more than average people. Nothing more than average people. So I get the nerve up one day to say to him, because I'm thinking, well, I'm in that category. I mean, hey, listen, you couldn't put me on the Victoria's Secret's runway. I'm not that caliber, but I'm in this caliber of these people, right? They're average. I could kind of fit in. So I said to him, I noticed that you have a lot of pictures of blondes, you have a lot of pictures of brunettes, but you don't have any pictures of redheads. Well, this is what he said to me. This is what he said to me. I'm the artist, and I choose the model, and I'm sorry, but you're no model. Those were his words. Those were his words. That's what he said to me. Now, I'm looking at all these pictures of these models that, excuse me, they're no fucking models either. Whatever. And he would find people that were like had classic things like big noses, big ears, and he'd be like, "But look at how unique it is, that big nose, and I can photograph it this way." But I was no model. Okay, that was my breaking point. That was when I put my foot down and I said, "You know what? You're fucking unappreciative. You take me for granted." We had this whole big blowout, and I never spoke to him again. And you know what? That was it. So, actually, I did speak to him again, but it wasn't for about 6 months or 8 months. It was a long time after that. My point here is, if somebody is constantly doing things to make you feel bad, constantly making you feel like everybody else in this world is better than you are, um, seeing value in every piece of crap on the street, but you're not good enough for it, it may be time to cut your losses and walk away. I mean, there's physical abuse where somebody hits you and you have physical bruises, but then there's also abuse where they're mean, they're cruel, they're saying things to you that are inappropriate, that are nasty, that wouldn't like it if it was said to them. Listen, there's no better or worse. Everybody is different. And what attracts one person to somebody may attract a different, what one person finds attractive, somebody else won't. And that's fine. But to be downright cruel and vicious and say mean things to somebody when they were there and they took care of you and they made your birthday special and they did all kinds of nice things for you, and in return you did nothing for them. I didn't get shit for my birthday. That's a whole other story. My point is that there comes a time where you have to look at these situations, and I know a lot of people that are in these situations where they're being made to feel like everybody else in this world is better than they are, and it's bullshit. Get rid of this person. You don't need them, because I guarantee you that once they are gone and they have a little time and space, they're going to realize that they were the losers that lost. Because they're still going to be dealing with these lunatics that are useless, and they're going to realize that they had somebody there that really cared about them. So my point is that a lot of people, are comparing themselves to other people, or are feeling like, well, he would hook up with anybody else in this world, but why won't he hook up with me? Excuse me. When you're in that situation, the best thing that I can tell you is to remove yourself from it. It may be painful, but a little time and space, you're not going to want to go back to that. I promise you that. You are not going to want to go back to somebody telling you that you're no model. Meanwhile, you should have looked at him. You know what I'm saying? It's like, who the hell do these people think they are? So my point here with this story is, how much do you want to put in, and how much do you want to give to somebody who is doing nothing but taking from you and never, ever reciprocating anything? And when they do, it's heartbreak, or it's hurtful, or it's vicious. And then you look at the people that they choose to be with. And I swear to God, I don't like to be mean, but this girl looked like somebody cut her hair with a weed whacker. I'm not even kidding. I had no idea what was going on there. But for some reason, she was so wonderful. He could never say anything bad about her. But I was no model. Let me just tell you something. And my friends, my one friend, the one that I always talk about that had the boyfriend that she was, I'll never date anybody again. That one, she hated him. She wanted to stab him when he was breathing. She got so mad because she was like, you know what? I'm fucking sick of this shit. She's like, you've been there at every performance. You've been there for him at every street fair. You've been there helping him. He's done nothing for you. He's got no right to talk to you like that. He's absolutely disgusting. And that was it. I just put an end to it. And I was like, you know what? I'm not dealing with this anymore because this is bullshit. It took me a long time. I'm going to say it probably took, from start to finish, it was probably about 1.5 years that was going on. I'm thinking 1.5 years. Or maybe almost 2 years. It wasn't quite 2 years because we didn't have 2 holidays. We only had 1 holiday. It was only 1 year. So I think it was just like 1.5 years. But so what I'm trying to say is that if you're in a situation where you keep feeling like, why aren't I good enough? Why don't they see value in me? How come he would rather have lunch with her? How come he'd rather photograph her? How come she's the object of his art, but I can't be? You know, then you really have to look at whether or not you want to put any more effort into this. Because my suggestion would be to run like hell, because it's not healthy for your self esteem. It's not a healthy situation, and you don't need anyone to make you feel like that. I don't care what you look like, how tall you are, how short you are, how fat you are. It doesn't make a difference. We're all human beings. We all have faults, and we all have good aspects, and we all have beautiful qualities and ugly qualities. Physically, emotionally, mentally, nobody is perfect. Nobody deserves to be treated like that. So if somebody is making you feel like everybody in this world is better than you are, get rid of them quickly. Walk the hell away. It's not going to get better. They're not going to see the value in you, and they're going to continue to make you feel bad. You don't need them. So I hope that this has helped somebody because I feel like a lot of people may be able to identify with this. So let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye bye.